Hey guys, welcome back to Creating Careers Podcast. This is the second episode of season 2. And on this episode, I had a chance to sit down and talk with Kevin Key. If you've heard the phrase keeping it crispy, or maybe if you've followed along on Kevin Key Speaks, then you've already been aware of sort of the positive atmosphere that Kevin Key creates in every room that he walks into or space that he's invited into. In this conversation, we got to know a little bit of the story behind his positivity, the message that he shares, and even some of the how-tos to what he does. I really was encouraged and am always encouraged to hear Kevin speak, and it's an honor to share this conversation with you today. Check it out. All right, so Kevin Key, thank you so much for joining me today on Creating Careers Podcast. I'm really excited to speak with you. I've been fortunate enough over the past year or two to follow along in the work that you're doing, and even had an occasion where I got to visit your studio. I appreciate, first of all, what you do in the Birmingham area and beyond, as well as just your, seems like your willingness to collaborate and work with the sort of greater Birmingham creative community in general. So thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I started out as the punk kid that just had a dream and was just hoping to be invited into some of these circles. And the Birmingham community just opened me with welcoming arms. And so I just want to extend that same type of energy to everybody else because our industry is super magical. It's fun. It's creative at heart. So we get to bring things that don't exist into our existence and change people's lives at the same time.
Hey guys, before we jump into the conversation, let me take just a moment to thank our sponsor for season 2 of Creating Careers Podcast, AmFirst. AmFirst has 90 years of history right here in Birmingham. It was founded by a small group of iron and steel worker friends who pulled their money together in a small cigar box. And 90 years later, they're still supporting families and small businesses right here in Birmingham. So thank you to AmFirst for supporting this podcast and helping to share so many stories of incredible creatives right here in Birmingham. And now back to the conversation with Kevin Key. Well, you've definitely become, I would say, sort of a staple in the creative community in Birmingham, whether it's through your rental house or whether it's through your video walls or whether it's through your actual time and work on set. I see you everywhere, it seems, and not just in Birmingham. You seem to work, whether it's going down south into the lower parts of Florida or whether it's going over into Atlanta or Georgia. It seems like you're all in the community in general and beyond. So props to you on the work that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've been blessed to have a lot of great mentors that showed, a lot of interest into what I was trying to do, right? And they were saying, hey, we see what you're trying to do, so let us give you some more pieces that'll help you along the way. And the information is what separates successful people from non-successful people. And so what I'm trying to do is to spread more information and more awareness that, hey, I can save you 20 years so you don't have to do these same things that I did, that kind of thing. And as we know in business, diversity is everything. Like, don't just do one thing, but don't just do a bunch of things either. Like, at least let them try to be in the same wheelhouse. And so Moonmen has pretty much worked in that type of vein. LED walls have multiple purposes. They can be live events, they can be movie sets, they can be conferences. Same thing, monitors, they can be used in live events, they can be used in film and TV. So we try to use items and equipment that have a lot of diversity involved that can do multiple things.
Yeah, well, definitely, I would say you are a man of diversity whenever it comes to the type of work you do. But again, still, like you were just saying, in that vein of film, production, whether it's live production or it's like recorded production. You've definitely you sort of run the gamut of the creative industry, I feel like. Let's talk a little bit about who is Kevin Key. When you first meet people and you tell them sort of what it is you do, or the type of person you are, what is that people find out about you? Who is Kevin?
So I think that one of the main things that stands out is just energy. Like I genuinely love what I do. And when I find people that are interested in the things that we do, especially creative, I like to share that. Like you said, I'm a collaborator at heart. So just the energy and possibility of being able to create something cool. That's kind of what I revolve around. And people say, wow, this person really wants to help. And I think that could be a disconnect at times that people are like, is he serious or is he just saying that or does he really want to help? And they find out I'm genuine, like I really want to help. I tell people as well that the film industry funds my creative addiction. You know, it's like making having these jobs pays for me buying the toys. And ultimately I get to share the toys with the community. And that's really what I'm excited about doing.
Yeah. What all titles have you held on set specifically, in the different arenas, whether in TV or film or live production even?
So it's funny. I have to qualify that now because it's professionally and when I first started. Because when I first started, I did everything. I
Right.
was the boom op, I was the sound guy, I was the lighting guy, the grip, the guy for the camera person, the director. I was the all of the things, and we've all done it. And when you roll the short film back, you see your name is like on 50 credits, you know. So I've done pretty much them all. But professionally, what people typically hire me for, a Kevin Key, on movie sets is a DIT,
Hmm.
and that is the digital imaging technician. And pretty much what that job entails, I handle all of the post production slash production pipeline to connect them two together. That is creating the smaller files that the editors need from the really large camera files. That's also backing up the data. That's making sure the color information for the files is correct. That's also liaisoning between the editor, between the director of photography, producers, and then on set, I manage the wireless video systems, the networking, camera controls, and also kind of help the DP with whatever equipment they need to make sure the integrity of the image looks according to their vision. So
Hmm.
that's what people hire me on most of these, you know, Hollywood style movie sets. For Moonmen, my company, we get hired for LED walls, design. We also get hired for post production work for the movies, whether that's color grading, editing, sound design. We also do podcasts. We have studio space. We can rent camera equipment. So that's kind of the gambit. But then on the other side, there's one more humanitarian side. Kevin, I get hired as, you know, inspirational, motivational speaker. So I think that that right there is really the main part that I'm excited about is motivation, creativity, inspiration. So as you see on my Instagram, I'm always encouraging people, sharing experiences. And I think that that part right there kind of really brings people together with the shared, you know, human experience.
Yeah, I've been following along your. I'm going to pull it up real quick. Your Instagram that you just spoke of, Kevin Key Speaks,
Mhm.
and keeping it crispy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
These are some of the things that I've seen, as well as probably one of my favorite things that I get to watch with you now is sort of Through My Eyes, the
Yeah.
series you do with Instagram Stories,
Hmm.
where you are wearing. I understand you're wearing sort of
The
the Ray
metas,
Bans, right? Yeah, the
meta
Metas.
Ray
Yeah,
Bans. Actually, got them right here.
yeah, and you walk around set, sort of showing what you're doing that day.
Yeah.
It's a cool vantage point. Not to mention for people like me who haven't been on movie sets or TV series sets, it's a really neat vantage point and sort of a peek behind the curtain, so to
Yeah.
speak, into that world. Tell me what is sort of the inspiration behind doing this, and then what kind of feedback have you gotten from this?
Well, first, let me go ahead and get some recording on. so that we can do this through my eyes, looking at you over here.
Love
Um,
it.
I think one of the things that really came to mind with the Ray-Ban Metas is that how can I be able to show more people what I do in the environment of what I do without me having to hold a camera and it looks so intrusive, right?
Right.
To where it can feel more natural as we're doing this. And I heard about the Ray-Ban Metas and I was like, oh man, let me check those out. They look good, which is great. But also with them having transition lenses, I can be onset, offset, and it doesn't matter. They'll naturally transition from dark to light wherever I'm at. So that enables me to continue shooting even when I go inside. The other thing that's kind of cool is they knock off some of the glare and sharpness because I'm looking at computers all day. So they actually help me a little bit with the glare and stuff for the computer. So when my eyes start to get tired, I can put these on and they'll help in that regard. But also, it just gives me on demand recording if I want it.
Yeah.
And then also, I didn't know this at the time, but when you upload Ray-Ban Meta to Instagram, it puts this little icon under your story that shows the glasses. So it instantly allows people to know that you have a Ray-Ban Meta story, and they also look good. I mean,
Yeah.
so, I
Yeah.
mean,
It's a cool opportunity to still be able to
yeah,
be hands
right.
on set, but also capture a bit of that. So, what kind of feedback have you gotten? I wonder what kind of feedback have you gotten from people on set with you, as well as people that just view the content on social.
Oh, the feedback has been great. We've got the crew members. They're like, man, that's awesome. We really like your Through My Eyes video showing the behind the scenes. And what's really funny, a lot of the crew members are like, can you get me on your footage? Like, I want to be able to make one of the Through My Eyes videos. So some of them are kind of, they'll see me walking, are you recording? And I'm like, no. They're like, dang. So it's become a kind of game that they're trying to get into the Through My Eyes. And like you said, from the general film audience and film community, or even people that don't know film, they're like, hey, man, this is great. We've never gotten a chance to see behind the curtain as to what it actually takes. Because some people think it's just a big party. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, it's work.
Have there been times? I would imagine there's times where you can't actually share that footage until significantly later, until the I guess there's probably time where everything's still secretive about the kind of project you may be working on. What's that been like to sort of navigate the sort of not necessarily letting what do you call it, the cat out of the bag too
Right. Yeah.
early or something like that.
So it's interesting with that because it is definitely a weird line. Because on one side, with social media, people want folks to know that there's something going on, right? They don't want to necessarily black box the production anymore, but they just want to be careful as to what specifically comes out. So anything that's in the public view, like when you're doing an outside shooting, obviously anybody can see that and shoot that. That's not a big deal.
Right.
But, specific scene details of the movie or specific actors in a scene, that type of stuff is typically more controlled. But the content that I'm more so shooting is about the behind the scenes, the equipment, the setups, the rigs, the gear. So that's typically not a problem at all.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool. I've enjoyed watching that kind of stuff, and then also Kevin Key Speaks, the Instagram account itself does a lot of sort of your inspirational messaging that you share. What's your motivation behind being that sort of positive voice, not just in the film industry, but just in life in general?
Yeah, so I think the biggest motivation is the disconnect, right? We see people online and we think, oh, this person's got it all together. They don't, need any help. They've got the glamour, the glitz, they've got the followers, they've got all the things. So who am I and how can I ever be on that level? So I think what being able to and be inspirational does is it bridges the gap, right? And it allows people to see, oh, it's not that far. This is a human being just like me. They're going through earth living life just like me. They have hurts, they have wounds, they have insecurities just like me. And if they can do that and still go on every day, then maybe I can too. So I think that the platforms are important places to allow people to see that we're not so different. Like we're all human beings, and
Yeah.
you know, we're trying the best we can every day. So that right there is really important. But also, I think the components of, I'm a person of faith. So my background is Christian background, just, letting y'all know. So some of this comes through this lens, but it's not so pointed, right?
Yeah.
But so God basically told me, he says, hey, I need you to become aspirational, not inspirational. And the difference is, if I'm just inspiring you to be like me, but aspiration, I'm inspiring you to be the best version of you, right? In the lane that you're in. We don't need another Kevin Key, but we need another you. We need another John, Sally, Paul, Brenda to be the best at what they do in the area that they're gifted in. Because if they're walking in their purpose, then they're going to be able to bring a lot to wherever they are. And that's what's important. I even find on set, one of the directors, he told me on the last one, he was like, man, Kev, whenever I'm having a bad day, I look over and I see you over there smiling, having a good time. And it just boosts me back up. And I'm like, we can do this. He said, that's a gift. Keep that. And so for me, I feel like I'm not the best DIT by any far. I'm good now, but I'm not the best. But what I do bring is the energy and the peace and the calm, right? I think that that's more important than my technical ability. The ability to come into a room and help people to be at peace and at ease, especially on sets. Like sets are stressful. Like people are running around. We got to
Right.
get this done. And so that right there, being able to show, hey, this person can be cool. They can keep a level head. They're not, being out of the way with people. So we can transform the whole, culture of film and not think we have to be this aggressive person. We don't. We can do our job. We can be smiling, having a good time, be professional, and show people that there is a better way than just this rigid,
Yeah.
mentality, you know?
Yeah. What I enjoy your, I'm going to call them the Kevin Key isms. Usually you've got some type of phrase or word that you're using that you sort of start off with these sort of, I'm going to call them monologues almost.
Okay.
And it's always enjoyable to sort of see how you do a play on words or some
Mm,
type of pun or just sometimes I've even seen cases where it seems like you make up your own word, but it's a really great it's a neat thing to do. It's a neat thing to see. It's just sort of a peek into your mind and your thought process and some of the things that I feel like you yourself have dealt with,
right.
whether it's a struggle or whether
Hmm.
it's a barrier that you sort of came up against that you had to somehow find ways to get beyond. So I've enjoyed it myself and look forward to seeing more of sort of the Kevin Keyisms as
Thanks,
they
man.
keep
Thanks
coming.
so much.
So yeah, let me ask you this. Tell me about your journey in general. Like
Hmm.
I've got some photos here of I would say this is where Moonmen DJ, sort of the
Right.
the idea of DJing really started. But tell me
Hmm.
about your journey, and feel free to touch on any of these photos. I'd love to
Yeah.
know some of the stories behind some of these.
That is great. So a lot of people don't realize, but Moonmen DJs started off as Moonmen DJs. And I started as a DJ at 16 years old. I was doing house parties and all of those things, and then went into clubs. And I actually had some great acclaim in it. I became officially Seagram's Gin DJ, Crown Royal DJ. I was on the radio station. I was DJing in Saks Fifth Avenue, Belk, department stores, corporate events, all kinds of things. And those are the initial photos. So as you can see, I was always crispy,
Oh
right? I
yeah,
didn't I didn't just become crispy.
been keeping it all along.
I've been keeping it all along. So I tell people, don't get it to it. They say, oh, you've changed. No, no, no. I've always been crispy.
Hey, looking back at these photos, man, a lot of the people that I've interviewed, I try to find those like the earliest photo I can find.
Yeah,
And usually there's a pretty big difference between what they look like in their teenage years and what they
yeah,
look like now. There's no difference with yours. I mean, other than facial hair comes and
right,
goes, other than that,
right.
man, you haven't changed a bit. You still look the exact same. So
Yeah,
props on whatever kind of of de-aging you've done, because I mean, you still look like you could be 17 as far as your, I mean,
Yeah.
I look like I'm about to be 50, and I'm not about to be 50, just for the record. But and those that are 50 and older, I don't, nothing against you.
No, no, no. I'm getting close. But but yeah, I mean, like the thing about it is, you see, I've been walking in purpose and my calling and doing those things for years. You know, some of these pictures right here are when I was like 17, 18 years old. And the one on the bottom with the keyboard, you see that old computer in the back.
Oh
That's
yeah,
but I used to produce music as well. Like that's in my home studio. So back then I was recording musical artists. A lot of people probably don't know who this artist is. Maybe they do. But back in the day, Master P was really big, and I actually recorded some of his artists and did music for them. So I had a lot of different, groups in the studio, and that transition from Moonmen and DJs to like multiple DJs that were on the radio station, and then I brought in promotional models. They were called the Moon Pies. And so the Moon Pies ended up promoting for Moon Men. So imagine you have your own group of your own crew starting the party with you, and it was just so cool. And that transitioned into promotions and marketing and websites and video, and then video into little small film projects, short films. And then from there, I ended up having my own club. From there, I left Birmingham and moved to Los Angeles. So I lived out in Los Angeles for almost 5 years because I wanted to find out, hey, how do they do that? Like, what does that look like? The proverbial, high end look. You're like, how do we
yeah,
do that? And I was chasing after that, and I had to make a decision. I said, I don't want to be the old guy in the club. Nothing against old guys in the club, but I just didn't want to be that guy. you know, I
yeah,
wanted to look at something that, and when I say old guy, I'm talking about 70s. I was like, I don't want to be DJing at 70. So, what can I do in the wheelhouse of what I like that's going to be able to give me longevity? And film appeared to be that thing. So, I used that vehicle to just go all in. And I went all in into production, went to Los Angeles. And when I came back, that's when the film industry was really starting to take off in Birmingham. The first movie was Office Uprising, and that was a really cool movie. The guys like, actually, it was interesting. Steve Moon had hit me up and he was like, "Hey, these people need crew. What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I'd love to be a camera operator." So looking back, I definitely could not have been a camera operator at that point. I'm just being honest.
right,
like,
right, yeah,
but when you're a budding filmmaker, you think you're the guy, you know what you're doing. I didn't. So luckily they did not hire me as a camera op, but they asked if, I was good at computers. I said, yeah, I know how to do computers. I know the backup stuff. So that was my first job as a DIT.
hmm.
And I had a bread cart with two Samsung TVs, not monitors,
Right.
TVs, with a Asus gaming laptop. I have to send you these pictures later. And I did the DIT work, and I almost got fired. Yeah, seriously, I almost got fired, but I was
Do
able to
you
make
do
it
you
through.
do you want to share why you almost got fired?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I was just so I guess you could say I thought I knew everything, right? Because I had been doing my own thing, but not at the level of union work, right?
Hmm.
So sometimes we as independents, because we're so used to doing the system our way, we think we know how the system works. But then when you get into the higher level systems, the infrastructure is very different. The hierarchy, I call it one butt per seat. You got one person that does this, one person that does that, and there's no overlap. So you come from indie, you're used to doing everything, and you trying to tell people what to do, and they're looking at you like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So me and the DP at the time, we kind of crossed hairs in that I thought that I knew what to do and what to say in certain things. And I didn't really know how to just apply the job simply to just doing your job. Right. And so that ended up creating the tension. And the producer at the time, he ended up pulling me to the side and said, "Hey, you're doing a good job. We're going to hire you on everything, but let them deal with that. That's their job. You focus on this and we'll be good."
Yeah.
I said, "So if I'm doing my job and they mess up, it's not going to impact me?" And they go, "No, all we care about is you do your job." We'll deal with that. And so once I understood the mentality of, oh, nobody's going to be mad at me because somebody else doesn't do their job or because they choose to do it a different way, I was able to relax into my position and just do my job and know that it didn't impact me as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right. And that right there helped me so much, especially this other first AC. He had pulled me to the side and he was like, yeah, you're really smart, you're gifted, but just be easy, be chill. It's gonna work out. You're gonna get more bees with honey than with garbage, you know.
Yeah.
And I took that to heart and I applied that. And so I don't know how many movies I'm in now. It's a bunch. It's really served me well in being on set, being pleasing, agreeable, you know, being willing to share my viewpoint. But ultimately, it's not my production. Like I'm a hired person to do a job and not taking it personal if they don't take my suggestion. So that's really helped me out and given me a lot of longevity in this industry.
Yeah. Do you find that there's a lot of grace, especially whenever you're first starting off in that industry? I mean, it sounds like you experienced a little bit of that, where
Mhm.
maybe you were stepping outside your lane. It sounds
Right.
like, and then somebody nudged you back in without
Yep.
necessarily being overly harsh or, "Hey, one strike, you're out" kind of
Right.
deal. Do you find that to be true now that you're sort of on the other side of that? Maybe there's other people that you've seen step onto set, and maybe they're not really staying in their lane. Do you still find that people that are just starting out are given some room, some latitude, or do you feel like usually that's sort of rare to find on set, that kind of
Mm.
I guess a little bit of slack that they can give you before you end up really messing yourself up on set?
Mm. So what I find in this on sets, especially union sets, right? It really depends a lot of times on what that the key position is. So let's just say you've got the key positions like your key I mean, you got your gaffer, your key grips, you got the director of photographies. These are more so the people I interface with. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily see the key makeup or key hair and how they deal with their various departments. But in our world, we've got people like John Champo, we've got Seth, those are the main guys that are here in Birmingham. We've got I see his name, Ben Greer.
Yeah.
He does a lot of stuff. These guys are great, right? They also do G/E. They end up doing swings a lot of times with their companies. And Drew Gaines, he got brought in as well. He works with Ben and Jerry. He's the key grip as well now. And these guys, they teach, right? They're trying to bring up the community. They're not over there saying, one strike, you're out. They're literally say, hey, guy, come over here. Let me show you. They're all about building up the community. So for the people that are actually in our area, I've seen them do nothing but just build up, empower, and try to enlarge our crew base. And I'm just so excited to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's really been enjoyable for me just to not only watch the kind of work these people in Birmingham do,
Mm,
yourself included, but also just the kindness, the collaborative
mm,
environment, the willingness to go above and beyond. I feel like from every single one of the people in the Birmingham area, I haven't met a single person that I've reached out to that has said no. First
mm,
of all,
mm,
everyone their first. I feel like the first thing that comes to their mind is a yes. Let's
right.
figure out how. Uh, and I feel like in most other industries that
Mhm,
seems really rare. Like I feel like a lot of people want to gatekeep. I feel like a lot of people want to protect their own interest
mm,
rather than looking out there and seeing how can I help someone else. But
right.
in the Birmingham creative community, I feel like over and over again, people are like, hey, I experienced kindness and a hand up from somebody. I want to be that for somebody else. So and again, you're part of that, and I just appreciate the Birmingham creative community in general.
Yeah, it's really great. And then also with Moonmen, I've partnered with Kyle.
Yeah,
Kyle, he's a great guy. He also has his own company with Next Level.
Yeah.
And so, he's a gaffer as well. He does a lot of great commercial stuff. He also does narrative, does a lot of the also live stuff. He worked with me on Pastor Mike Jr. recently. We did the celebration concert at the Legacy Arena. And so he was one of the main guys on camera and also helping to corral the team. And, you got to have great people like that around you that you don't have to worry about. You can be like, hey, can you help me in this area? And they're like, all right, cool. And they just take it on and run with it. Like that's what's super important in this arena is not having to constantly be supervised in the role, but being able to say, hey, can you go take care of this, this, and this? And then they just go make it happen. Whether, like I said, even it's the gaffering position, the key grip, and, all of these, like these are leadership positions. And you have to have the right leader in order to lead the next group of people that are coming up. And so,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm just, happy, and I just feel just really proud to be around this group of people.
Yeah.
And,
You and
and these are
Kyle.
just some of them.
Right, right. You and Kyle Roberts, I understand y'all partner through, I believe it's through the rental, like the gear rental part of your
Yes.
company, and both of y'all have that experience of moving out to California,
Hmm.
working there for a while, and then coming back home. And I got a chance to interview Kyle, and he talked about sort of why he came back. It was
Hmm.
sort of by accident to some degree, but then staying became more intentional. What was your reason for coming back to Birmingham?
So that's interesting. I was out there. I thought that I was going to make a life out there and it was just going to be okay. I'm going to build it up and this is what it's going to be. Because when I left Birmingham, like I was known in Birmingham. It's interesting, kind of like how I'm known in the film industry. I was known in the DJing, arena, the music arena. So I pretty much left everything that I had and moved to Los Angeles and just started over. And I did the whole thing, the sleeping in your car, all that. Yeah, I did that. That was
All the
that was
glamorous stuff,
oh,
I'm
oh man,
sure.
all the
Yeah,
glamorous, being sleep in the car and somebody knocking on the window, hey, you can't park here. Yeah, I
yeah,
did all of that stuff. And I'm happy to have done it. It's not for everybody, but
right,
I'm happy to have done it because I was able to say, okay, can you make it away from your safety net, away from your parents, away from all the resources and stuff that you have? Can you make it? And I was able to make it, create new relationships, new networking, and so forth. And then one day, it just felt like some dropped in my spirit and said, it's time to go home.
mm,
And I ended up coming home. And like I said, the timing was just perfect. When I got back, got on that first Union movie, as the wave of film started coming through Birmingham. And then in this industry, one of the things about it is once people know you as the go-to person, they just keep calling you. Like they don't want to really try to find somebody else because in our industry, you're kind of at a zero fault position because we have to make it happen. We have a certain number of days, and a person not producing impacts the production in a major way as far as their time, which ultimately equates to money. So once they hire you, especially in a DIT role, which you're responsible for the film, they don't want to take the risk of somebody new. So ultimately, they would bring in somebody out of town, but then that increases the cost.
right,
So it makes more sense keep hiring the local guy. And DIT is such a niche job because it nuances in so many different areas. And I think a lot of times people confuse DIT with a data manager because those are two different things. A DIT can also be a data manager, but a data manager is not necessarily a DIT, right? And that
yeah,
revolves around skill set. So, like I said, the DIT can do color, they can deal with camera systems, wireless systems, camera control, iris, they deal with post production, that type of workflow, uh, file types and setups between the various editors and computer softwares. Whereas most of the time, oh, also, the DIT typically has a cart, a big cart that has all the monitors and all the equipment on there. So they bring all of that expensive stuff to set as their kit that they can rent to production. So production doesn't have to bring all of that.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. Does it benefit you to have your own gear, or do you usually show up and all of that's provided on set through maybe the camera rental and beyond?
Well, for a DIT, the DITs bring their stuff because it's
Okay,
so specific. Like
right.
the way that the equipment works together, you can't just say, "Hey, give me this piece, this piece, this piece." No, this is a system that this individual has created that has to work, where you're bumping it down the sidewalk on the street, strapping it to a camera truck, not taking it off in the rain, in the humid, oh, we got to move. Okay, move that over. Okay, you got to roll it right then and there. So this is a system that has to be functional, fluid, rock solid, fast, and
Yeah.
dependable. And that's not something that a rental house can provide per se. So that's why that DIT comes with a certain level of knowledge and experience. So if on the fly something happens, they can fix it, you know, and they
Right.
also have multiple backups and so forth and systems. But the data manager typically is just a computer and hard drives that you're just backing up with software and verifying. That's typically just your data manager type of thing. They don't typically have the level of investment that a DIT would.
Nice. Well, DIT sounds very techy
Mhm.
and very, in my mind, a very, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Um, I'm losing the word. Basically, I would be intimidated. That's it.
Oh,
Intimidating is what it
you
seems
think
because,
DIT is
I mean,
intimidating?
because of the fact that there are so many levels of other people that you're responsible for what they're able to do. I mean, to some degree. I mean, and especially if you incorporate in the data management aspect to it as well. I mean, so much of the stuff, one mistake, and suddenly you've lost what has just been captured, and it's on you, not on anyone else. So it sounds pretty intimidating, and but also I think the like you're saying, it's the system you build, it's
Right.
the equipment that you've
Mhm.
sort of curated over time. It's probably the software that you invest
Right.
in. So I can imagine once you have all those skills, no wonder people would go back to you over and over again.
Right. I mean, definitely. And then also it's the customer service. Like what people don't understand as well is yes, it's a technical job. Yes, you have to know all the ins and outs, the bibs and bobs and all the things like that. But you're literally sitting beside a person, typically is, the DP for 14 hours a day. So the person that's sitting there has to like you.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
you know so you're the one that's kind of their go to their safe space to be able to be comfortable as they go out and deal with all the stresses and the pressures. You're here to make it easy and put gummy bears on their desk like, oh, you like those, here you go. It was funny, me and the last DP, like we had such a great time all day long. We were talking about movie references and songs and all of that. It was just so funny because I'll be like, you remember Moonraker? You remember that movie? That was, he go, yeah, yeah, the Moonraker. That was with such and such and such and such and such. And he'd be like, what about the Blade movie? Oh yeah, Blade. I like that one. When Ryan Reynolds came into it, it was kind of just how he
Yeah.
does. But
Yeah.
I always love Wesley Snipes. So all day long we were kind of doing that. And those little moments just helped to take their mind off of some of the stresses and things that were happening to where they come back. It's like, this is comfortable.
Yeah.
And allow them to focus.
That was, I recently had a conversation with John Champion
Mhm.
and Sean Patrick Kirby. I got
Okay.
the two of them. Their episode should actually be coming out just before yours.
Nice.
But I had a conversation with the two of them at the same time, and they talked about how one of the most important things on set is to be that, like, just to be likable.
Mhm.
Like be a good time on set. And I think actually I think Kyle even talked about that being somebody that's enjoyable to be around
Right.
is so important whenever people work with you initially and then making the decision to work with you again.
Right.
And I can imagine there's times where the opposite has been true, where somebody hasn't been likable on set, and people are like, their work was okay, they nailed it, but just how they were on set causes them to not get opportunities in the future.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, also with social media now, everybody's looking at your pages, everybody's looking at the content, they're looking at what you're liking and sharing, and they're forming opinions of you to say, do I want to work with this person or not?
Right.
So it's really important as to what your presence is and how you portray yourself, not just your work ethic. Like that's only one piece of it. Because once the stress comes in, it's going to really show, who you are on the inside.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right, so let's talk gear a little bit. I want to talk about this camera specifically because I see this camera a lot on some of your older social stuff. So first of all, talk me through this camera and talk to me a little bit about the evolution that you've gone through in regards to gear.
Wow. Yeah. So the first camera that I had was a Sony Handycam. It was, I think, a high eight. So high eight, most of course, y'all youngsters out there know nothing about what I'm talking about. But this is when they had digital tape that you would put
Yeah,
into the cameras. And so the first one was VHS, which was this is my era, the big rectangular cassette. And then it broke down into the smaller ones that was a cassette that you would put into the big one. And then you could put
right.
in VCR. Then you ended up having the high eight tapes, which was still another tape, but it was smaller and it was the digital version. And from there, you went into the mini DV.
I've got a high eight somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it may be in my drawer over here, but anyway, I've got a high eight.
So you know what I'm
I've
talking
got
about. The
I've
high
got
eight.
the recorder and the tapes in it. So
Yeah, the
yeah,
high eight. And then went to mini DV. And then after mini DV, I ended up, this was my first cinema camera. Shout out to Black Magic for making professional filmmaking affordable.
agreed, agreed. I mean, Black Magic led the charge in that so
Right.
much about how can we make high end,
Hmm.
like no strings pulled, no holding back on the
Right.
technology we could potentially put into it. And
Hmm.
they'd put it in there and then they'd charge, a fraction of the price of what a normal cinema camera might
Right.
have cost.
And give
They
away
still
the
do it.
software.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
So I ended up, this was my first one. And I didn't even have, if you see that monitor that's over there, I didn't even have an SDI monitor. I think that was a Lilliput monitor, which is an off brand name. And I had HDMI and I had a HDMI Blackmagic battery converter on there to convert from the SDI of that camera to HDMI. And the camera rig, was plastic.
Yeah.
And, I had photography lenses. And it was a hard time, but I was still chasing that look. I'm like, I'm almost there. If I can just get it. And I ended up using this camera and I shot like 13 short films in a year,
Yeah.
just trying to do it. Just anybody that'll be in this film. Like, will you be in the movie? Will you be in the movie? And granted, it was bad. I'm telling people they were all bad, all of them. But I
I don't
didn't
know
care.
about that. You got to, this is what I love. I respect people that create stuff, put it out there,
Uh-huh.
leave it out there, even
Right.
at least some of it, and just be willing to not only for their own purposes, but for
Hmm.
everyone else's to be able to document the journey, the creative journey they've gone on,
Hmm.
and so respect, man, respect the grind, respect the growth, because I mean, if the best thing you ever created was done with this camera back in this time,
Right.
that would sort of be sad
Right.
from that point forward. So
Right.
obviously, you know that you've created better. You've gotten better at the work you do. You've gotten better at the video, even the understanding of
Right.
film production than you had back then. So yeah,
Yeah.
props to you, man. And that was the first. Is that the first pocket cinema?
That's not the pocket. That's the Black Magic production camera.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's the BMPC 4K.
They always have I mean, just names of cameras that just roll off the tongue, right?
Yeah, and after that, I had the BMPCC, which was the Black Magic Pocket Cinema camera. So the
Okay.
original pocket camera was really small. It was about like
Yeah.
that big. So I still have one of those. I need to break it out. And
Yeah,
so I also still have these cameras too. I have
that's
both.
awesome.
Um, but then I went to the pocket camera because it had more dynamic range. It was smaller, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm getting closer." But it had that micro four thirds sensor on there, so the light capabilities wasn't that great. And after that one, I finally got a really decent camera, which was my Blackmagic 6K, the 6K Pocket,
Yeah,
and that one really leaped the quality to a whole nother level because it also had in there the I think it was like the dual native ISO, it has in there where you could swap to the different, ISO stages for your low light. I
right.
had Super 35 native mount on there. And also I started getting into cinema lenses. My first set of cinema lenses were the Rokinon Zines.
Yeah,
So actually full frame lenses I had there, and that upped it a lot, plus my understanding of lighting theory, of the grip gear, all of that kind of stuff. And from there, I ended up continuing to build. And I had the Pocket 6Ks for a good amount of time. And this is the point I always want to tell people, it's not overnight. Like all of this stuff, like if you go through my Instagram and you look at everything, you'll see this is across years.
yeah,
This is not 2 years and boom, we here with LED walls.
right.
No. And then even with the LED walls, from the time I got them to when production actually started using them was like 2 years. So I had to sit on that investment, just working with it, learning it, and mastering it for the time when people actually used it 2 years later.
Yeah,
And so the same thing here, going in, continuing to invest, continuing to take the time, continuing to grow, movie after movie after movie, until I finally was able to build up the business, which this is a part a lot of people don't talk about. You know, this is not just a individual buying equipment and gear. This is Moonmen, a company that is also building business credit with business accounts, which enabled me to later on do a business loan to finance some of this equipment because now I've established income.
yeah,
So it's not just a person that's on a 9 to 5 job trying to put together $100 here, $100 there to make these leaps. These are intentional decisions to start a company, go all in, create income and revenue to sustain itself, and then be able to reach into lending opportunities that enable you to buy a LED wall. And also ultimately later on, my Sony Venice. So I have a Sony Venice 2, which is more my flagship now, but I also have the Ronin 4D, which is to me the best all-purpose camera ever created.
yeah.
you know, and now
I
we
was
added.
just I was just talking to somebody about you day before yesterday. It was
Mhm.
there's a teacher at Oak Mountain High School named John
Okay.
Milton,
Yeah.
and they just got the Ronin 4D for their
Mhm.
program. Like he does video production, film,
Yeah.
live production. I told him, I was like, you've got to talk to Kevin Key. You've got to get him to come out because I've seen your Ronin 4D, and
Mhm.
I got my hands on it for the first time that day, and I was like, I still like it. I might as well have a chicken with a
Yeah.
camera attached to his head because I don't know how to control it whatsoever. I tried to just get it over to where I could even control the focus with the wheel, and
Mm.
I know Sony's system. I
Yeah.
don't know DJI's
DJI.
Ronin. Yeah, I don't know their system other than their drones. I mean, I've used their
Uh,
drones for years, but yeah, you've got to plug in with that program. But yeah, the stuff I've seen with you on. I think you do a lot with church productions,
yeah. Rock
where
City.
you're doing the I guess one of the cameras they're cutting to,
Yep.
and usually you've got the Ronin 4D up there, just getting some incredible shots, man.
Oh yeah. Like I said, that is the MVP camera. Like, and now since I've added the Flex to it, so the Flex for the people that
Yeah,
don't know, it is basically like a more affordable Rialto. And the Rialto is the rig that the Sony Venice has, where you can take the sensor out, put a cable in it, and have the body somewhere else to make it a lot lighter. Well,
right.
DJI has the same system, but more affordable. You know, The version for the Venice is $30,000. The
Just a little
version,
bit.
yeah, and the DJI version is $1,000. So it's like, you know,
Yeah.
but it gives you the same flexibility, and the camera is still a phenomenal camera. I use the DJI Ronin 4D most of the time. The only time I really use the Blackmagic 6Ks now is at multicam stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's great if you've got the. I mean, I've got the Blackmagic Ada Mini Pro right here, and then I've got
Oh,
the
okay.
also I've got the Ada Mini Extreme. If you use those with the pocket cameras, it's incredible the
Oh
controls
yeah,
you have in
yeah,
such a small package. Once you tie in the sort of software that you can use with it, you have color control, you have
yep,
start and stopping recording internally on those things. I mean, it's
yep,
incredible what you can do with live production, specifically with Blackmagic. And if you
yep.
get the higher end rigs, which I'm sure you probably use more of those like rack mounted
Oh
systems,
yeah,
even more so, you've got capabilities. It's really impressive what DJI and what Blackmagic are doing with
oh
their
yeah.
camera equipment and everything. So
Especially the wireless video. I mean, the Ronin 4D wireless video has their drone technology in it, so you can literally be anywhere and still get connection and camera control.
that's cool. That's cool. Well, I need whenever you go to Oak Mountain and talk to John's class, I need to be there because I need to learn a little bit more about this Ronin 4D, man. I would love to one day maybe work with something like that. It seems like a really, for me being a one man show most of the time, it seems like a perfect camera for
Oh yeah.
something like that. So
It's really good for that. And then, like I said, especially live events when we did the concert, being able to have a gimbal cam that can run anywhere in the arena.
yeah.
Like that's just great.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, let's talk. Seems like your gear is probably ever evolving. Let's talk advice. What's some of the best advice that maybe you've received or that you've given
Mhm.
regarding working on set, regarding maybe just running a business? Maybe it's more of like life advice, whatever. And you don't have to limit it to the one ultimate piece of advice, but any kind of advice that you think would be really helpful for somebody either maybe beginning in the industry or maybe even somebody that may be a sort of an equal on set,
Mhm.
experience and that kind of stuff. Just something that people can learn from.
Typically what I tell people is allow whatever gear you have to make you have to upgrade. You don't want to just go and just chase gear.
Mm,
Like anything that I buy, it has to have a multi-purpose thing, right? It's not just one thing. I have to be able to see this use in lots of different arenas and lots of different, platforms or, projects or things like that. So I'll approach it like, for example, the Ronin 4D. I looked at it, I said, okay, this is something that a lot of people don't have. So that could be a potential rental item. This is a device that can be used in live events, which you can use as a gimbal cam and multicam. This is also a piece of equipment that, let's say a person doesn't have enough money to have the full crew needed for a Sony Venice, but I still want to have a high-end camera. I can use it on more independent films, be the camera operator and pull focus, and still be able to capitalize on that business. So looking at things from multiple angles, I think is really the biggest advice. Can you justify whatever that thing is more than one way? Like that's super important. Because I mean, as we saw when the strikes happened and all these other things, the film industry pretty much just went.
right.
But I was able to go into corporate events. I was able to still do multicam. I was able to do churches with some of the same gear. Same thing with the LED wall. I initially wanted it to be virtual production. When Unreal Engine came out, everybody was like, "Oh, Unreal Engine, motion tracking, and all that." So I got the trackers and everything, and that didn't really jump off. It ended up going more towards static, backgrounds or just video backgrounds, but nothing really on the Unreal side here in our market. So I said, okay, maybe I can do car driving stuff. Maybe we can start using the LED wall as backgrounds for speakers on stage. Maybe we can use the LED walls for, image magnification on the sides. these are just different things. There's other people that want to rent this stuff because the access to that level of equipment or technology, it just hasn't come as readily available. So hey, we let them know we're available. We're not the top people. We'll be the mid people, because there's a lot of folks that are underserved in the middle arena. So being able to look and see where are the holes. And I think that's the other part as far as business. The advice is, whatever you're doing, look for the holes in the arena. Don't go to the path that everybody else is going. Look and see, okay, where is it that people need that they're not necessarily getting? And one of the things, I'll give away this tidbit. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and they were talking about, selling equipment to different companies. And I said, a company, most of the time, they're constantly, upgrading equipment and stuff. They have budgets for that. But they can't upgrade equipment every year. You can't justify that. You can't be like, well, our equipment's going bad every year. No.
Right.
But what's something that they always have? People. They always have people that are turning over, which is people that constantly need to be trained, that need to understand the equipment that they're being brought in. So why don't you lend your expertise to training people? Right? There's always people that need to learn. I mean, hence your podcast. Your podcast is serving a demographic of people that want this type of knowledge and information. So you found a hole in the market.
Yeah.
Nobody else is doing this at the level that you're doing. So the advice is, whatever you're doing, find the hole that is underserved, and that's going to end up being your main client base that you can evolve, and you can actually grow with them, and they can grow with you.
Right. Yeah, I would say the idea of niching down is definitely, you got to niche down into that hole you're talking about. You got to find like where's the gap, where's the
Right.
group that's not being served, where's the need that's not being met,
Mm-hmm.
and niching down. Oftentimes, you get in a specific industry, maybe
Right.
a specific price range, a
Mm-hmm.
specific sort of maybe even geographical region. Like the more you can niche down, oftentimes the more intentional your marketing can be, but
Right.
also the more obvious to the people that you're trying to capture.
Yep.
Like you're meeting that need more obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, great advice all around. So I want to talk about the fact that these cameras that you're working with here on the two sides. Talk through what are these setups, and maybe what was this type of work you were doing in these pictures?
So I think I know the one on the right. That's the Venice 2.
Okay,
The other one, I can't necessarily see for sure what
let
that one.
me see if I can make it larger. Boom. Is that? It's a
Um,
red.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I know what that shoot is now. That shoot was with Joe. Yeah, Joe. Joe's my buddy. He's over at Leo Ticelli's now. He used to do a lot of DP stuff. And so that was on this short film. No, it wasn't short. It was a movie we were doing. And yeah, so a lot of times, what these setups are, people see all this gear and all this gack on these cameras. It's like, what in the world is all of that? Do you need all of that? I mean, my phone doesn't have any of that. Like, why do you have that? Like, what is
Right.
that? And so on the setup on the left, and you could tell it was very hot because I'm like, my shirt is
Oh
drenched.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
It seems I saw quite a few settings. I saw one where you were in a truck and it looked
oh
like you were,
man.
I mean, I would have been dying in that truck, but you seem to handle it well. So,
Yeah, that's the other thing, when people come in and they're like, I'm a camera operator. And I'm like, oh really? Okay. So here, take this 30-pound sandbag and just carry it around. Throw it on your shoulder, walk around, and get down in a squat position, hold that for 5 minutes, and lay on your side in the trunk of a car, like
mm,
that, because that's what camera opping is. It's not just, oh, look at this. No, that's
right.
not it.
It's not just
No,
panning and tilting.
no. It's running around, especially like some of these gear, cameras. You got to hold them here, so it's a lot of forearm and upper body strength and just endurance, for the long takes and the heat and the cold. But that setup there, the top piece that's over is a viewfinder. So being able to, especially when you're outside in the sun, sometimes the monitors aren't bright enough for you to accurately be able to see what the exposure is. So inside that viewfinder, you're able to basically black out the world around you and only look at the video. And also, if you're doing handheld, it enables the camera to be, you with the camera. That's another point of contact. So you got a point of contact here, you got your arms, and allows you to be a lot more solid with handheld movement. Also, cinema lenses, one of the main perks is the gearing on them. It's a lot more travel around, so that when you're focusing, it enables you to, easily and smoothly get to a certain setting, versus photography lenses, the travel is very narrow.
Right.
It's not much. So also, when you're connecting up wireless follow focus or these gears that connect to the lens for somebody else remotely to control, it gives them greater flexibility to be able to hit the marks, especially if you have a person walking towards you and they're being able to rack into that. So these are all tuned and geared towards team collaboration, not necessarily individual, these particular cinema setups.
Right.
Now you have your E&G, event news gathering, that are more suited for run and gun. They're lighter, they're on your shoulder, they're made for you to be able to operate with your hands. Everything is right there on there. But these are more so for the operator to just be able to operate and just focus on framing. For the AC to be able, assistant camera to be able to just focus. For, if their DP of them are separate, to have video outputs that connect to another monitor setup so they can be able to see. So it's just more team collaboration. Same thing with my rig that I'm on the right. That is the Sony Venice. So it's rigged up with the, EVF, right there, the monitor on top, so that I can go quickly from EVF to handheld and still see. But it also has the rig for the AC to pull focus, because that's something you really don't want to do with a 30-pound camera, is try to pull focus two at the same time.
I can imagine.
You
Yeah.
can, however, like that's just, and you got the heavy duty tripod head there, which is the O'Connor 2575. It's pretty much an industry standard for the weight of the camera, so that it doesn't just tilt over and fall. And it also allows for the smooth, panning, tilting action as well. So these tools are just really uh, set so that each person has the most capability to accomplish whatever that task is on the camera or for the shot. Because remember, some of these things aren't just super repeatable. So you got a certain number of times you can redo this, or do these shots before you need to change to a different lens, or you need to do a different motion, or put it on a dolly, or do handheld. So it's all about speed in these type of settings.
Yeah, I personally have not been on set very many times, and I've never actually worked on set
Hmm.
of anything like this caliber. But it does seem like you're saying speed is what it's all about, as
Hmm.
well as collaboration. I mean, it's this idea of how quickly can we get through the day,
Hmm.
but also the number of people and the number of different tasks are
Right.
associated with that work.
Hmm.
It's sort of mind boggling whenever you think of it, but also it's really neat. It seems like more and more teams can be of all different sizes. I mean, you can have a 2-man set, you can have a 20-man set. I mean, it really just depends on the budget oftentimes,
Right.
as well as sort of the need. And cameras are out there, like we talked about. The Ronin can be on both of those sets potentially,
Yeah.
with the way that it's designed.
They use it as a
So,
B camera all the time. There's a
oh, I
movie
believe it.
right now that we rented the Ronin 4D to, where they're shooting with an 18 wheeler. So they have the Alexa Mini as their main camera,
Yeah.
but they use the Ronin 4D as a B camera, because with the Flex, they can take the head and put it into the window, or, attach it to the windshield. And it now puts it in the small places, because the Alexa Mini built out is about this wide. So the Ronin 4D head now is just like that. You
Right.
suck the cups, put it in there, boom, and now you're able to get some great stuff. Plus, they'll put it on the hood, and then you can control it and turn the head remotely. So they're just mirroring these things together. And once they color grade it, you're not going to be able to tell the difference.
Right.
You won't. I mean, the sensors now sensors aren't really an issue anymore. It's about capability and features that you need. That's
Yeah.
really all it is.
Yeah. It's also, I would say, it's more about the person using it than it
Hmm.
is about the equipment itself nowadays. So yeah. All right. So let's talk about Birmingham a little bit more. You've already touched on this a little bit. We've got a couple of the people that you work with often that are featured in these photos.
Yeah.
Talk through just what would be your sales pitch to the like to have more people come and work in Birmingham, maybe people in Birmingham to understand the caliber of the opportunities that are here. What are your thoughts on Birmingham, especially in sort of the creative industry?
So with Birmingham, like we've got great bones. When I talk about bones, I'm talking about the foundation, right? We've got all the locations, we've got the friendly environments, we've got the film incentives, we've got all of that part. We've got equipment, we've got gear, we've got, people that are able to, play the parts and the roles in a couple of movies. And what I mean by that is if we have more than two movies happening at the same time, it gets kind of thin and we got to bring in all these other people from out of town. So ultimately, what I think would be really helpful, and I encourage other, filmmakers and professionals in the arena as well, to say, independent people, and I'm going to look in the camera,
Yeah.
independent people out there you have in these short films and these things, invite us like we're friendly, we're not far off. Like say, hey, I've got this short film, something I'm going to ready to do, can you come by and just check it out, give me some feedback, and see how I can make it better. Like invite us out there so that we can give y'all some of the information to help make yours better, because ultimately you all are the future. The independent filmmakers that are working now doing these sets and stuff, they're the ones that ultimately productions are coming into saying, do you know anybody? And we're like, I don't know anybody that's at that level of experience that have done union side or, these higher level productions. They've only been experienced in this arena. So bringing us professionals to some of your sets to be able to give you some information can put you in the right path to where at least we'll be able to say, okay, they run their sets like production. So it's easier to pull them up into a PA position or into, a learning grip or a learning electric or, the camera PA or any of these others, because you already have the experience in doing it the right way. You've already been, groomed under some of us that are actually doing it. And I get it. Sometimes it's intimidating being able to say, well, we can't reach out to them. They're too busy or they won't have time for us and they're not going to, a lot of times we put the barriers in our own way. And that's not even what the other person's thinking. So put it out there. Ask, hey, we've got this going on. Can you stop by for a few minutes? And that's I think what the whole community part needs. We need more people to come in, step in and say, "How come in? Okay, I see what you're doing. All right, here's some pointers. Here's some things that I think that you could do at this place to get you where you're going." Because ultimately, we need this crew base and we need the training, because otherwise we're going to have to just keep bringing more people in as Birmingham expands, and those people will start saying, ooh, let's move to Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
you know
Yeah.
Versus Birminghamians being the ones to have the first opportunity. So
Would you say the opposite is true as well? The idea of these people getting on set with some of these productions that are going on. I mean, would that be something that you would encourage people to reach out to people like you and Kyle that are more experienced in those opportunities, and maybe even getting some of those opportunities? Would there be an opportunity for them to join you on set or join Kyle on set?
yeah, I think there's definitely opportunities. Always reach out for sure, because you just never know. But be open to put the work in. And then here's the thing: in our arena, availability is everything. Like you have to be available, and film and TV is like a job, because stuff is happening throughout the week. Some stuff is happening on the weekend, but the actual jobs most of the time happen through the week. So the weekends type of stuff kind of there, but not always, unless
Yeah.
We're just creating our own thing just to do. But that's why I say if somebody's already doing it, inviting us out is cool because most times if it's on the weekend, we may not necessarily be shooting, but it walks us into your mentality. It also ends up saying, okay, if this is what you're already doing for yourself, then you're serious about it. You see what I mean? If you're just asking for an opportunity, I don't know if you're really serious. I don't know what your opportunity, I don't know what you've already done for yourself. And I've got this phrase now that I'm kind of I've been using, and maybe this is one of those phrases you're talking about.
Yeah, the Kevin Keyisms.
Yeah, and it's I can open the door, but I can't lower the bar. You know what I mean? I
Okay.
can give you opportunities, but you have to come up to the level of the opportunity. You
Mm,
see?
yeah.
So likewise, hey, if you're already working, you're already doing it, you're already investing into yourself, I can do something with that. But if you haven't even taken the first steps into this is what you really want to do and why, then I can't really help you there. I can't give you the motivation for why you should invest into this. I
Yeah.
can't give you that. You have to come in and say, I want to do this because of this. And this is what I've already been doing. And I'm going to make this happen. I've talked to this person. I've done that. I go to these, meetings. I've talked to Film Birmingham. They told me I need to talk to you, like, okay, all right. Oh, you've been researching. Okay, cool. All right. Well, here's an opportunity. Come out to this set to, come around and look. How much am I getting paid? Well, you gotta get the experience first.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because once again, and I know that that's a sore spot for some people, but let me be the one to tell you, I worked for free a lot under multiple people, multiple environments, multiple disciplines. You know, I can't pay somebody full rate for something that I'm teaching you to do. It doesn't work because on set the producers and the production are paying for a result, right? They're paying for you to be able to do this job effectively, just like anybody else that they hired of the same, competency level in that position. To really make the money, you've got to get up to that place that you are just like the other professionals on set. And that takes time. That takes, experience. That takes being able to get out there making mistakes. And in production, is mistake costs.
Right.
So you've got to come out there and be willing to learn and make the mistakes on your dime, not the production's dime. And that shows how serious you are about it. And like I said, I did it. I made 13 bad short films in a year. And I tell people about that.
Well, I think what you said, the advice you gave about reaching out to somebody like yourself or Kyle and inviting y'all onto set.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, that's a huge gift in and of itself. I mean, you're giving up your time to go on set to see what somebody else is doing, but also I think it's great advice in the sense that at times that may be a more realistic ask than, hey, let me come on set with you, and especially trying to work around their schedule. When maybe they do work a full-time job and they do filming,
Mm-hmm.
their own stuff on the weekends. So that's a great piece of advice. Both of those are opportunities I think that people should explore and
Mm-hmm.
go after. But I think a lot of people would be afraid to call you up or message you on Instagram and say, "Hey, would you be willing to come out and visit our set and give some feedback?" So I think a lot of people would be intimidated to ask that. But the fact that here they have a chance to hear you say, "No, like ask. I may not be able to make it, but if I can make it, I'd love to give
Right.
that feedback." So that's a great piece of advice. So appreciate that.
Yep.
Tell me this: what's next for Kevin Key? What's next for Moonmen DJS? What's next in general for you?
Well, I guess one of the main things I have to tell you is what does DJS mean now?
Okay,
Because we don't DJ anymore.
that's true. Well, I'm sure you could if you had to, right?
I still have my turntables.
Oh,
I
I
just
believe it.
one day I'm gonna do a set, a film scene where there's gonna be a DJ, and I'm gonna be up there. One day I'm gonna do that.
I look
But
forward to it.
but DJS now stands for Don't Just Settle, and that's become the whole moniker of our company. Is we don't settle, like we don't, settle for the bare minimum. We're always trying to pioneer, go to the next level. How can we make this better? And so, the next thing is really, it's an interesting thing about the next thing, and let me explain to you why. Earlier this year, we shot this music video, Amen. Kyle was actually the gaffer on that one for me, for Pastor Mike Jr., and it ended up winning a Stellar Award for Best Music Video of the Year. And I was like, huh. Nothing that we ever planned for. We just ended up, hearing the song, and it was like, I'm going to break out the Venice on this. This is going to be something. I like the song. And so we broke out the Venice too. We had all the things, and it ended up blowing up into this huge video that now has over 3 million views. And so I'm saying that because we didn't just settle.
Right.
We ended up saying, okay, yeah, we're going to go in. How can we make this even better? And now the song is actually nominated for a Grammy.
That's
What I
awesome.
mean? Yeah. So I could say what's next is going to be this, but I didn't know that was next.
Right.
So the easiest way to say what's next is that we're going to continue pioneering, coming up with content, trying to create avenues that are inside these gaps. We're going to continue to try to create opportunities for people, for the community. We're going to start putting out some more of our content. That film that you talked about when I was in the back of the truck, that was actually an inspirational short film called Fire with Johannes Miles. And it shows the whole relational dynamic between people and relationships. So we're starting to do a lot more of that kind of stuff. But also, I still have the dark comedic side. I love dark comedies. You can actually watch. I have a short. It's not a short. It's more like a pilot because it's 45 minutes long.
I think I've seen. Is this the one that you shot at your studio?
Yeah, Miss
Yeah.
Audition.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
on Roku and Tubi right now.
I've
But
actually watched that. I thought it was great, man. Yeah. Yeah. No, I loved it.
yeah, I want to shoot some more stuff for that one, different scenes, and just add to it. So more of our content, more of our production. I think that we're going to start utilizing the studio more for podcasts and creating shows. We're getting ready to do a high-end fashion show competition. That's going to be really
Okay.
um, being able to tie in more community stuff, being able to, like I said, things that are just outside of actors, but just regular people that need opportunities and platforms. So that's kind of the other stuff that we're going to be expanding into, and just using the brand, the Keeping It Crispy brand, to be able to expand into other markets with, the gear, like, see, Keeping It Crispy.
I like it. I
Man,
like it. I
like,
love the Moonmen, man. The
yeah,
double M's there looks great. I
yeah.
love that jacket.
So that's what. Oh, let me show you the back. Let's see, look at the back.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You got the big logo. I like it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's kind of what we're also trying to do. Besides that, create the lifestyle pieces that people can be a part of, to where they can have some Keeping It Crispy paraphernalia. They can end up having Moonmen gear and stuff to be a part of what we're doing. Because I didn't really realize how big the reach was until this director, he told me. He said, "Hey man, I saw your signature and it said, 'Are you keeping it crispy?'" And I was like, "Am I keeping it crispy? I want to be. I want to keep it crispy. Like, what do I need to do?" And I was like, "Huh, okay, maybe this is a thing."
Hey, it's one of those things, like you said, you never know what's next. There's an opportunity that could present itself. And if you're so focused on your own mission, your own sort of intention or purpose or path that you've already sort of planned out for yourself, sometimes you might miss those other opportunities that it's like,
Right.
hey, maybe we should explore this a little bit more. Maybe we should pull out the Venice for this
Right.
music video and really try and make something happen. So sometimes having too rigid of plans can be detrimental to your business, just like having almost no plans whatsoever can be detrimental to your business.
Exactly. Um, You're absolutely right about that. Even with the what do you call it? The next thing, one of the other things, we did the celebration concert, which was at Legacy Arena, and that was the largest event that we had done in reference to Pastor Mike wanted to get all high end gear. He's such a visionary. That's one of the things that's really great. He's never just thinking what's right in front of him. He's thinking what's over there. And so he was like, I want to be able to have the high end cameras and stuff because this content and this footage has the ability to go to other platforms and other places. So we ended up taking the Sony Venice 2. We had two Alexa Mini LFs. We had three Sony FX9s. We had the Ronin 4D jib. Plus, we also did the LED wall program, and there was these huge, massive LED walls and everything on it. And the content, oh, what was it, 50 to 1,000 zoom lenses, and just like it was crazy the stuff we had. The
Wow.
level of quality on that production was just, oh man. And one of the, like you said, the vision of just doing things that are kind of outside the norm, I felt like God was like, hey, document this whole process. So I paid a videographer to shoot the behind the scenes content of, us as Moonmen doing the whole production of it behind the scenes and all of that. That's some of the through my eyes footage you see in Legacy Arena.
Yeah.
But I initially was started as this is just behind the scenes footage. As the editor is starting to put it together, I'm realizing the larger story that's actually in it. It's not just Moonmen doing Legacy Arena. It's actually the story of how I first met Dre, which is Pastor Mike's right hand guy with the film arena. I mean, with the film and TV side of their production, and how I ended up doing the first LED wall for them, which was like 8 feet wide, like 6 feet tall,
Yeah.
super small. And then going from there to ultimately doing a music video with Dre, and then Pastor Mike seeing that to ultimately giving me the opportunity to shoot that music video, and then bring this on for this concert that we did LED walls for. And then the Amen music video went to, win the Stellar Award. And next thing you know, we're doing Legacy Arena. So it's showing the whole culmination of events that led up to this place. And I think that that's going to be so powerful because it shows we didn't just start at Legacy Arena and
Right.
Kevin doing these giant LED walls with these, high end cameras. It shows this place and documents the whole path. And I think that's more of the content that we need to see.
Well, and that's something I think more and more people want. I mean, it's almost it, it's a greater risk to not capture BTS nowadays than it is to actually have somebody on set, or like you're even doing with the glasses, just some way of capturing some way of being able to capture what happens to be able to demonstrate behind the scenes stuff on social media, at least, if not, even other platforms. But I see so many people. Colin Odell, I don't know if you know of him, but with hello, the Joy Collective. He's been killing it for the past year with BTS stuff. I see Trey and Garrett Lee. What's Trey's last name? I can't think of Trey's last name right now. Dang it! They're with Mud Films out in. They're close to the Georgia line, but they're always doing behind the scenes. Trey Walker, that's his name.
Okay.
The two of them. I mean, I was talking with Garrett the other day, telling him how much I'm loving his behind the scenes. He does.
Yeah.
He does sound on set, and it's incredible just to learn the little nuances to it. But he said for them, it's become like a non-negotiable. They're going to do BTS stuff, and they're gonna do social content out of it. Just it's become this new opportunity. It's a relatively low cost, and there's the potential gains from it. Whether it's just getting your name out there, or whether it's even monetary gains directly from the content itself, it's
Right.
it's the sky's the limit with it. So
Yeah,
I love to see that you're doing it. I love to see that you're investing in it even more. And I
for
look
sure.
forward to seeing some of that stuff you're talking about. All right. I always ask this question. Who inspires you? Who is it that you're working around, that you're working with, maybe that you're following on social or other platforms? Who is it that you look to say, and especially coming, from somebody who one of your missions is to inspire or calls people to aspire to something even better than they are right now. Who do you look to? Where do you find that kind of push or pull even
Mm.
to be a better version of Kevin Key?
So there's like multiple places for that, right? There's the inspirational part. One of the people that is like my pop Matthew, he's like my mentor who's come into my life. I think I've known him now. How long? It's been like 15, 20 years now, something like that. And he introduced me into the bar industry and, business side of learning how to invest in people and how to look at opportunities outside of the finance and being able to see how you can better your community. Because he was always giving people opportunities at the bar that wouldn't necessarily have money to rent the venue, that just had a dream. He was constantly investing into that guy. The late Frank Myers, his name was, they called him Bozo. He was a sound engineer that ultimately brought me in to teach me sound, lights. He's the one who made me go to college. It's a funny story because he was like, take your butt to school. And I would be asking all these questions like, how do you do this? And how do you do that? He said, take your butt to school. Like that. And he ended up making me go to school. And that's where I learned the core part of um, electronics and technology. Ed Martin was another person who helped me out with the business, gave me my own bar as well, invested into the film side, gave me equipment. As a matter of fact, he's the one who gave me my jib camera. I still have that to today, the jib for putting the camera on there.
Yeah.
You know, um, got great friends around me. I got a great friend base. My buddy Jerome, he's around there. Jesse, Charles, those are some great people in my life. My parents, they're always supportive. Like my parents, anything that I needed, they tried their best to give it to me. From my turntables to needles back in the day, they just allowed me to just go. They just like, just go, you know. Also, another people that inspire me is my people at Rock City Church. The reason why they inspire me so much is because they're like, Kev, just come in and just be you, just be the best version of you. We don't want to hold you back. You just go. And to be in an environment where people allow you the space to be who you are and to expand, and they're not intimidated by who you can become. Like that's so powerful to be around. And you being able to give that back to them to say, hey, you're amazing. You're powerful. You can be the best in this area. I see you. I see you. Because so many times we're not seen. And that's what makes us shrink. But being in a place where you can say, I see you, and they say, I see you, and you're able to collaborate. Like these things are super empowered. These things are super inspirational to me. And so because of this whole network, right? And there's so many other people that are around, that I could name. Like no person is an island. And I'm be the first to tell people, Kevin is the culmination of a bunch of people that didn't give up on somebody who was hard headed and didn't listen.
I get that.
A bunch of people to get to this place. So that's kind of what the shaping is. And people that invest into you, that help you. And here's some great content right here that's actually going to be on one of my new videos. So you're getting exclusive right here.
I
This is
love
an
it.
exclusive.
I
Okay.
love it.
So people want to get their friends to make money off of them, right? It's like, let's just say if you got a cake shop and you're like, I want my friends to buy my cakes, and then friends may not buy your cakes, and you're like, well, they're not my friends, they should buy my cakes. You're thinking about trying to make money off your friends, but you should really think, oh, my friend may not like my cake, but he's a business logistics manager. Maybe the skill that they actually have every day can help me with my business, right? So now I've got this other friend who doesn't buy my cakes, but they have a trucking company and they're like, hey, I can help you to get your cakes into these different venues and these different facilities. So now you're actually making money off of your friends, but off of their strengths, not off of, I want them to directly buy my product,
Yeah.
right? And that's not sustainable, thinking that your friends are going to prop up your business monetarily when their skills and their resources actually have a higher value than them buying one item from you here and there. So you have to change the way you think about what your friends bring to the table. So great example, my buddy Jerome. Like he's a business manager, and he also deals with logistics and stuff with the company he works for. So I hire him in to run some of our teams when we're doing LED stuff. Plus, he's also a great camera operator. So I'm able to hire him on these jobs that he can facilitate, which ultimately frees up my hands to do other things. So I'm making money off of my friend, but he's also making money off of me. I don't need him to rent my LED wall. You
Right.
see, I don't need him to rent my camera gear, but I needed to do an assessment of the friends and what their value and what their strength is so that I can utilize them in the best way possible that is also in line with their purpose and not draining them to do something that they can't maintain or sustain.
I would see it sort of in that collaboration kind of environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's in a collaboration, there's this mutual benefit,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes that can be monetarily, sometimes that can just be experiential.
Right.
There's a lot of different ways that we can benefit each other rather
Right.
than just simply say, how can this friendship benefit me? At that
Right.
point, it feels very transactional, very one-sided,
Right.
selfish kind of feel to it. But
Yep.
if it's collaborative,
Yep.
now you're both giving like an investment in this, and you're both receiving sort of a benefit from it. So
And they answer your calls.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hope, yeah. Because otherwise, they will definitely not. They'll quickly figure out something better to do. I'm
Exactly.
washing my hair,
Yeah,
So
exactly. I'm busy that day, but I haven't
exactly.
told you the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Kevin, thank you so much. I wanted to end it with this. I feel like this has to pay some respect to the beginning of it.
Oh yeah.
But thank you so much for taking your time today to talk with me. Man, thank you for what you're doing in the Birmingham creative community. I definitely keep it crispy, which I know you will, as well as I look forward to seeing more of the behind the scenes stuff that you're doing, and props on just the success you found, and more to come. So thank you.
No, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate the platform you have. It's people like you that help to expand the community, that spread awareness, the energy, just the knowledge that you're doing. Like I said, nobody else is doing what you're doing right now. And just this whole platform and the research. Like, I'm looking at these slides and the way that you're bringing things up, and I'm just like, man, this guy's good.
I
So,
appreciate that.
you're
Thank you.
talking about, I haven't been on these sets, but the level of production value that you're bringing, like top notch, man, top notch.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been incredible. Like I said, so many people that have said yes to this podcast, and I still haven't even scratched the surface. I really haven't. It amazes me every time I meet somebody. I find out there's a whole nother layer to the creative community that I never
Right.
never knew about. And I tend to lean into the video or film kind of side of it. And there's this whole nother world of like graphic design, animation, music industry, just so much more out there than what I ever realized.
Hmm.
And thankfully, I get to be a part of the community. But
Right.
first and foremost, I'm just a fan of the community, and
Right.
so I get to fanboy out every time I talk with somebody like Kevin Key, and or whether it's Kyle or any of the other people that I've been able to talk with. It's really it's I'm thankful. I'm very thankful for just the opportunity, and again for the yeses that so many people have given me so far. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And anytime you need me, let me know. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to collaborate here in January, right, with Pelham High School.
We will. We will. Thankfully, again, they've decided to bring me back. There's no question as to whether or not they were going to use the video wall again. So they were pumped about that last time. Just the look that it brought. I think the way you set it up had a sort of an industrial vibe, and
Yeah.
inside the location that they're doing the event, it worked perfectly. They loved the look. The
Mhm.
sound worked great in there.
Yeah.
So it really helped make that event feel like another level. So props to you on that, and I look forward to seeing it again
I
in
guess
January.
so.